Okay, Chris Peaks back here today with Fred Litwin on the BCS State of Alabama podcast. Waiting for Brandon Mosley to show up. Over the last few weeks, we've did started expanding our reach to other people. We had some listeners. I know we've seen some politicians here in Alabama, but we thought we'd really put our blueprint out here and go world. And I have author Fred Litwin here with me today, who is a um, author, Canadian author, Jewish Canadian author, researcher of the Kennedy assassination, very politically active. He's a conservative in Canadian politics, but before everybody gets excited, my red meat listeners, that's going to be like our left of our Democrats here today. Fred, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So let me ask you, Fred, as a Canadian, are the Canadians mad or are they happy about being the 51st state? I mean, what's the idea of the of
I
the
I
average
have
Canadian there?
I have never seen such anger in Canadians. I mean, the mood of this country is so angry. It's absolutely horrible because I've been pro-American for most of my life. Not when I was younger and on the left, but I've been pro-American for quite some time. I love the United States. I love the people. The people are friendly. In fact, one amongst the friendliest people in the world. The people are generous. So the American people are fantastic, and the United States has always stood for goodness, for freedom, for liberty. The Constitution is amazing that the Americans have, and so Americans always stood for us, for me, is something really, really fantastic in the world. And now you're turning us into an enemy, and we don't understand it. We are bewildered. We're your biggest friend. We're your biggest ally. You know, when the planes at 9/11 needed places to go, they all came to Gander, Newfoundland. And we took those people in, we housed them, we fed them. We didn't charge you money for it. We did it because we're friends. When your diplomats were taken hostage in Iran and they needed shelter from the Iranians, they went to the Canadian embassy and we took them in and we got them out surreptitiously, and we didn't charge you money for that. We did it because we're friends. When you needed to go into Afghanistan, we went into Afghanistan. And now you're turning on us. And we are bewildered and angry. I've never seen such anger. And I say to Americans, I mean, you are going to rue the day that you are basically what you're basically telling to Canadians is you can't trust the United States anymore. You know, we signed the free trade deal with Donald Trump. We negotiated in good faith. He said it was the best deal ever, and he's abrogated that treaty. So we can never trust you again. It's gone. It's going to take a couple of generations to get this trust back. What a this is terrible.
Why do you think that of all the battles to go pick battles to fight that Donald Trump's picking this one with Canada?
It's really bizarre because we're your friend, and he's treating his adversaries like friends and his friends like adversaries. You know, look, there's always going to be irritants in our relationship. It's not a perfect relationship. We have irritants with you. You have legitimate irritants with Canada. But we always work through those problems. You know, I mean, if there's one country I want to be allied with in the world, it's the United States. That's who I want to be with. I don't want to be allied with China because we know what they do to freedom. I don't want to be allied with Russia. I want to be allied with the United States. That's what I want. And you're turning us, you're turning us into an enemy, and it's just we don't understand it in Canada.
A few months ago, when Donald Trump first mentioned this, then he came back and said something about having some kind of economic superpower, and it's like you look at the Canadians, people were kind of interested in that, and then it's like back in the 51st state. I mean, is this kind of like carrot and stick stuff with him, or to try to build this superpower, or do you think that's just Donald Trump, or
Well, you know, look, Canada. We're a country rich of natural resources. We've got all sorts of minerals and oil and gas, and that's what we do is we ship our oil, we ship our gas, we ship our minerals to the United States. You guys make them into finished products, and then we import your finished products. We let you do all the value added to this stuff. That's our job. Our whole transportation infrastructure in Canada is geared towards getting materials to you, right? Our highways, our trains, our planes, our ports, it's all geared on getting material to the United States. And so we want to work with the United States because we have lithium, we have all the rare earth materials, we have all sorts of stuff here that's totally untapped. So we want to work with the United States, and now we're going to have to go look for other markets. We'll have to work with Japan, and we'll have to work with Korea, and we'll have to find other markets to sell our stuff to.
Um, do you think that the this is all stemming from the border with Canada? Because we don't have a do we have a problem on the northern
Well,
border? Like
there
we,
is a problem with the border, but guess what? Guess what? It's our problem with you. What comes over the border from the United States is illegal guns. That's
really?
most of our crime with guns in Canada comes from illegal guns, surreptitiously imported over the border. And immigrants. The immigrants don't come from Canada to the States. The illegal immigrants come from the States to Canada. Donald Trump has this all wrong. The problem with the border is we have a problem with you guys. Very little
So
fentanyl comes in from Canada to the States, and very few immigrants go from Canada to the States.
we're like your Guatemala on the border.
So yeah, well, there's an issue there, but he has it all wrong, and it's just unfortunate because, look, there are border issues that we need to work on, and fentanyl is an issue that we both need to work on. I think Canada is lax in money laundering laws about fentanyl, so there is work that Canada needs to do. We're not blameless. We're not, there is stuff that we need to do. And so, and there are irritants that Canada needs to work on, but don't throw out the relationship.
Well, I mean, what that I'm looking at this is when you look at how many people's in Canada, 35 million or 38,
41 million.
41. Okay, and you look at the size of their economy versus the United States, it's like, what how much are we really going to get? I don't understand what the end game is, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't understand what
Well, this is
President
it.
Trump's
Your
trying
your
to do.
economy is 10 times bigger, and so, I mean, we because of the location of Canada, we're right next to you. That we have no choice but to sell stuff to you
Hmm.
because the transportation costs are low. You're a very, very big market. It's easy to get into the States, and so we have no choice but to we built all of our infrastructure to supply you with materials. And so that's, for us to sell for us to sell stuff into Japan and Korea, transportation costs are high and volumes aren't that big, so it's much tougher.
How was the relationship between oh God, your new prime minister, I can't think of his name, and President Trump?
Well, Mark Carney, we have a new prime minister, but
Yeah,
we're going to
that's
have an
it.
election that's coming up, and so I'm not. I mean, here's the problem for the United States with Mark Carney is I think Mark Carney is the kind of person who would like to pivot Canada to China. I think that's what he would like to do, and that would be a horrible thing if Canada pivoted to China. Not good for us, I don't think, and it's certainly not good for the United States. But that's what I think he wants to do.
Yeah, especially with the competition the United States is in with Canada right now, that would be horrible for to see that. Um, Kind of shifting gears on something else. What Brady gets here. As being a man of Jewish faith, though, how do you feel about President Trump and what's going on in Israel?
Well, I appreciate the fact that Donald Trump supports Israel. But here's so and he's done a lot of good things, and he moved the embassy in his first term to Jerusalem, and he now is taking on the Houthis. He does a lot of good things, and I think he has some very good ideas. But can I trust him? Is he going to turn on Israel? If he could turn on Canada, if he could turn on Ukraine, maybe he'll turn on Israel. What if Netanyahu says something he doesn't like? I mean, that's what worries me. Netanyahu says something Trump doesn't like, and all of a sudden the next day he turns on Israel. It's just really possible. And that's what worries me. But yeah, I do appreciate what Trump has done for Israel right now.
Um, do you see that do you foresee this ever ending in what's going on over there? Because I was talking to somebody the other day. It's like I may be more sympathetic to the Palestinian plight if they didn't, go over there and set kids on fire and kill 1,100 people, and then
Yeah, I'll tell you the solution, and the whole Middle East problem is very, very simple. The Palestinians do not want to live side by side with a Jewish state. So only once they come to the realization that they have no choice but to live side by side with a Jewish state, and that's Israel, once they come to grips with that, we can have peace. But right now they do not accept it, and therefore will be in turmoil until they change.
and the Israel nation, they want peace. I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
don't
want.
want to
So, I
be.
mean, a good look at what happened when Anwar Sadat in Egypt back in the 1970s realized I have to coexist with Israel. He put his hand out. He said, "I want to go to Jerusalem for peace." The Israelis said, "Come to Jerusalem." He went to Jerusalem, and what did Anwar Sadat do? He smiled. He hugged Golda Meir. He hugged all the Israeli politicians. He smiled. The whole Israeli population fell in love with him because they realized he was legitimate. He was honest. He was authentic. And that's what the Palestinians will need to do in the future, convince Israelis that they're serious about peace. Chris, are you still there?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I had a phone call come in. Sorry, I
Okay.
had sorry, the phone call came in. It cut off there. It's brand new somebody's computer or something. So we got to well, when I lost you was he asked Israel to come in for peace, and Israel said, "Come to Jerusalem." Or, excuse me, yeah, he wanted to go to Jerusalem for peace, and Israel said, "Come."
Yeah, well, what really made Israelis understand that he was serious was he smiled, he hugged Golda Meir, he convinced Israelis that he was serious about peace, and that when he was. And so what the Palestinians will have to do at some point in the future is convince Israelis that they are also serious about peace, that they want to live side by side with Israel in peace. And right now they have not done that. And so there can't be peace until they do that.
Um, what do you think about the America from a Canadian perspective when you see that? I'm disappointed with the left here when I think they can finally get on board with something. And, we see with Khalik Mohammed, the guy with Palestinian, here we go. The guy with Palestinian ties, and he's from Syria. And then they are protesting up there in the Trump Tower, and they've got, three. I'm like, how can we, how can I'm sorry, what's Canadians feeling like they see Americans protesting, seeing a terrorist being boarded?
Well, I think, look, I mean, the issue for in this case in the United States is that he has a green card, this person. Once you have a green card, um, you can't be deported for speech. You have to be deported for some sort of action. So, I mean, this goes a horrible person. This is a really, really awful man. Horrible person. So I'm hoping that the American government can prove some crime or some sort of action that makes it possible for him to be deported.
Hey, Brandon, are you here now?
I'm having some problems with the camera, but yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes,
can hear you.
I think I can see some part of your camera. Brandon, this is Fred Litwin. He is an author from Canada. The, with the just talking about what's going on in Israel. He's a man of Jewish faith. Um, he's conservative in their um, politics, which is to the left of our Democrats. For two people get excited, I think we got a right winger here with us. But we were talking about just different Canadian American issues and what's going on in Gaza. You want to jump in and ask Fred some questions?
Um, Israel has broken the ceasefire agreement. They've attacked Gaza again. Does the Trump administration allow Israel just to kick butt, or do they are they going to force it back into negotiations?
There's nothing to really. Hamas was the one who really broke the ceasefire by not negotiating in good faith over the release of further hostages. So it's really, really, we have to get these it's time for Hamas to release the hostages. This has gone on far too long. It's just disgusting, and I think the whole Israeli population was mortified when they saw the way those hostages looked after they were released. It was like coming out of a concentration camp.
Concentration.
Yeah, Hamas has really treated their prisoners extremely badly, sexual torture, rape, branding, uh,
Mm.
not feeding them. There's no doubt about that. But if you take the Hamas, try to put your mind into Hamas, if they give up all the hostages, is there anything to keep Israel from just completely pounding them? They can always give up some hostages or relief supplies or to get a ceasefire, which is sort of what
I
they
mean,
did at
what you're
Gulag.
saying is why would Israel pound them? I mean, if you want peace, be peaceful. If Hamas wants peace, which they don't want peace. They're a genocidal organization. They want to destroy Israel. That's their goal. They're open about it. They don't hide that fact. They want to destroy Israel. That's what they want. They never stop firing rockets. If they want peace, I mean, hey, be peaceful. There's a simple solution to peace. If you want it,
They fired
be
three
peaceful.
yesterday, I think.
What?
And I think they fired three rockets
Yeah,
yesterday.
they fired rockets yesterday. I mean, they're still building rockets. They're still building tunnels. These people want to destroy Israel. That's their goal, and they're open about it.
What did you think about when President Trump proposed the idea of resettling them?
Well, it's a ridiculous idea. I mean, I appreciate the fact that maybe Mr. Trump wants to change the channel because the status quo is no good. But you can't relocate 2 million people who don't want to go and nobody wants to take them. You can't do that, right? I mean, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, the country that could most easily take them is the United States, and I kind of think our people would be hesitant to take.
Nobody's going to take 2 million jihadi terrorists who want to destroy the West.
It's sort of self-defeating there.
Fred, how do you think that starting with the U.S. Canadian relations is this going to affect Canada as far as you mentioned about shifting to China, that prime minister? Do you think it's going to affect NATO's in any way?
Oh, of course. I mean, Trump has already said he may not. He doesn't know if anybody would come to America's aid, which is just ridiculous. I mean, I think Donald Trump wants to throw out NATO. What a shame. I mean, it's been a terrific organization. It's important for Western security, and yeah, it's going to affect things. I mean, there are people in Canada who don't want to invite Donald Trump to the G7 in June in Canada. I mean, there's a movement here to like say, let's not invite the United States.
Really, I haven't heard about that one.
I mean, it's not going to happen, but there's a lot of people who are like, why? We're supposed to buy F-35 planes from the United States for our defense. Well, now a lot of people like me, well, let's buy planes from France. Why buy planes from the United States when we could buy it from France?
So this is going all across, not even
You
just.
have no idea. You have no idea of the anger here. I mean, people are so angry. It's unbelievable.
Brandon, did you have a,
Oh, yes. Didn't the people of Canada follow the election and kind of knew that when Trump got in there, he was going to try to renegotiate some of these trade deals?
What renegotiation? If you want to renegotiate a trade deal, then renegotiate. He abrogated the deal. We renegotiated the trade deal with Trump in the last administration. It was done. He signed a deal. He said it was the best trade deal ever, and he gets into office now and he abrogates the treaty. You've abrogated the treaty. You've told us we can't take your word. Your word is useless as a country. That's what you're telling us.
So do the Canadians? I mean, are they blaming the American people for their beefs with Trump? I mean,
No, we love the American people. The American people are great. We think the American people are the friendliest people in the world. They're generous people. They're fantastic. Look, we just about every Canadian has American relatives and American friends. That's where we go on holiday. We go to the United States. Now people are canceling their trips. We're not going to go to the States on holiday. This is good. It's going to affect. It's really bad. This is really affecting a really good relationship is now being thrown out into the garbage.
I said something with liquor sales the other day. Something that was affecting, I think, the Canadian whiskeys, the tariffs threats. Have you seen that?
Well, the first in Ontario, I mean, the first when the tariffs were put on, I mean, the Ontario liquor stores took all the American alcohol off the shelves.
Mm.
We're not going to sell American alcohol, um, and I don't know if they're back. They're probably back on the shelves because the tariffs were put off. But well, yeah. Well, why should we sell American alcohol? We'll buy a Canadian alcohol. We'll drink French wine. We don't need California wine.
Is there anything necessarily wrong with going more toward, we'll stay in our country, you stay in your country, we'll grow our stuff and make our stuff here, y'all do the same?
Well, what's wrong with that is you need our oil. Like your refineries on the south coast in Texas and on the south coast of the United States, they are designed to work with Canadian heavy oil. Doesn't work with other oil. They actually, it's designed for Canadian oil. That's why we sell it to you. The whole infrastructure of Canada is designed to sell you materials from potash to gold to different minerals to oil and gas. And you need our stuff. You need our potash for fertilizer for your crops. How are you going to do without it?
But if we negotiate a peace with Ukraine and lift the sanctions on Russia, can't we import pretty much anything we import from Canada from Russia?
No, because your refineries in the United States are
Refilling
designed
the
for heavy
refinery is not an
Canadian crude.
impossible process.
They will not work with other oils. Shake your head. This is so stupid.
So I remember before Prime Minister Trudeau left, he said something about um, that this was going to crush the Canadian economy. I mean, I'm going to plead ignorant. I mean, I've read about tariffs in school, but from years ago. But I don't know how they work. I mean, I got a basic knowledge. Will this destroy the Canadian economy with the U.S. Tariffs they're putting on them?
Well, it's gonna really hurt the Canadian economy in a very, very big way. It'll hurt you as well. It's gonna hurt both countries um, because we retaliate on you, so it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt us. If you read the Wall Street Journal this morning, there's an article from a farmer who is already complaining that the price of his fertilizer has gone up, the price of a whole variety of earths that he imports from Canada has gone up, and some of his export markets to Canada have disappeared, and he's hurting. And you're going to see these sort of stories all over the place. I mean, this is so self-defeating. It's yes, you're going to hurt us in a big way, but here's the difference, and here's the big difference. We're united in Canada. You could fuck us all you want. You could fuck our economy. We'll take it because we have no choice. We're going to be independent, but we'll hurt you and you'll feel it.
Are Canadian consumers, are they feeling this yet? Or
Well, not. It's starting to be felt because first off, nobody wants to invest in Canada right now because they don't know what the tariffs will be. So investments are being put off by companies. Investments are being put off in the United States. I mean, no, businesses don't like uncertainty. And we have all this uncertainty now about the tariffs. I mean, this is why this is so self-defeating for both countries. It's the whole thing is inexplicable. I can't explain. We are bewildered in Canada why this is happening. But we're united. See, like I said, we are united in Canada. You guys are not united.
So when you talk about, you mean your populace as a whole is united against this, like
We are
real
united
estate?
against tariffs, and in the States, you are split down the middle, and a large part of even the Republican base is probably against the tariffs. So you guys are split. We're united.
Yeah, the
You
problem
want to
with
jump in there, Brandon?
tariffs is that it raises the cost of everything. It's like if we import Canadian oil, it's going to cost 25% more if there's a 25% tariff on there. Same with importing Russian, I mean, Canadian beef or Canadian grain or the potash. Obviously, that just means that the people who purchase that in the U.S. are going to have to pay more because the cost is all going to be passed on to the consumer.
Yep.
Ditto with the stuff that you know Canada still imports from the U.S. It'll just cost more, and it's inflationary. And I thought inflation was our biggest concern economically because it's not jobs.
Yeah, inflation is a big thing, and I think that if these tariffs really do come in full blast, then Canada will also look at other ways to punish the United States. For instance, your cruise ships that go up the west coast to Alaska, they have to stop in Canada for refueling and getting supplies. We can tax them. Why not? You guys haven't thought this through yet. You need to really think this through. There's lots of ways, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to start thinking of ways that I can get back at the United States, but we will think of ways to get back at you guys. And that's not healthy.
You think Donald Trump will eventually, his ADD will take over and he'll move on to something else, or he's just
I hope so. I
got his
hope there's
teeth?
some rational people. I assume the White House has been getting flooded with phone calls from business people, the auto sector, and all sorts of other business saying this is crazy, don't do it. And so I'm hoping that wiser folks around him will say, look, this is not good. It's going to backfire. We shouldn't do it. Um, we need to have a good relationship with Canada. They want a good relationship with us. So let's not do this. I'm hoping that'll happen.
So can we touch on a little more again? The new prime minister, God, I'm drawing a blank in. He's wanting to move to do more trade deals with Canada. I mean, excuse me, with China now.
Well,
In
Mark Carney, his
retaliation.
name is Mark Carney, and
Yeah.
he was our central banker. I mean, I don't know what all his policies will be when we go into. We're going to have an election. An election will be called on Sunday, so we're going to have an election in April. But I suspect that he's very close to China, and so I suspect that one of his solutions to the problems with President Trump will be let's just pivot to China. I don't want to pivot to China. I don't like China. I don't want to pivot to China. I want to be allies with the United States.
Brandon.
That's all I have. Thanks for
Um.
joining us.
Well, thank you.
Hey. Let me ask you one more question here, Fred. Do you think that this relationship can be repaired with the United States?
It can be repaired, but if it goes on for too long, then we're going to look at another generation, and that would be really unfortunate. I mean, I really want to repair it as soon as possible. I want to get back to being your friend, and all Canadians. And again, I mean, any irritants the two countries have can be ironed out. There's no reason why we can't come to. And again, Canada's not perfect. It's not like we're perfect here. There's lots of things we do that we shouldn't do, and lots of things that we do that aren't really good. So I understand the irritants, and we need to iron them out and come to an agreement.
Hey, Fred, thanks a lot for talking to us today, man.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you later.